20 years ago, on the night the royal bells were supposed to celebrate the birth of a princess, they never rang. The palace remained silent. The servants whispered, the soldiers looked confused, and the people waited outside the castle, wondering why the kingdom had suddenly fallen into darkness. Inside the royal chamber, Queen Eleanor held her newborn daughter tightly in her arms. Tiny fingers wrapped around her mother's hand. The baby smiled, but instead of smiling back, the queen began to cry. An old woman slowly entered the room. She wore a dark silver cloak covered with glowing moon symbols. Her white hair flowed like mist. Everyone stepped aside. She was the last moon oracle. She looked at the newborn princess for a long moment. Then she whispered, "She has finally arrived." King Arthur smiled proudly. "My daughter will become the greatest queen our kingdom has ever known." The oracle slowly shook her head. "No, she will become something far greater, or she will become the reason this kingdom disappears forever." The room fell silent. The king laughed nervously. "You expect us to believe a newborn child could destroy an entire kingdom?" The oracle closed her eyes. Suddenly, the room filled with silver light. Everyone watched as magical visions appeared in the air. The royal castle burned beneath a crimson sky. People ran through the streets screaming. The mountains split apart. Dark clouds covered the sun. Then, a gigantic shadow dragon rose from beneath the earth. Its glowing red eyes looked directly toward the castle. Standing before the creature was Princess Aurora, not as a child, but as a young woman. She wore a shining golden crown. Moonlight surrounded her. The dragon bowed its enormous head before her. The vision vanished. The queen could barely breathe. "What does this mean?" The oracle answered quietly. "On her 20th birthday, the kingdom will face its greatest destiny. If her heart remains pure, she will save everyone. But if darkness reaches her first, nothing will survive." The king stood. "Then we will train her. We will protect her. We are the strongest kingdom in the world." The oracle slowly looked toward the queen. "No army can stop destiny. There is only one way." Queen Eleanor already knew the answer before the oracle spoke. "You must hide her." The queen looked down at her sleeping daughter. "I can't. I've waited years for this child. I cannot lose her." "You are not losing her. You are protecting her." The oracle stepped closer. "Many people will search for the child. Some will wish to use her power. Others will fear it. But the greatest danger will come from inside these castle walls." King Arthur frowned. "What are you saying?" The oracle remained silent. Then she turned and slowly disappeared into the darkness. Queen Eleanor made the most painful decision of her life. Only one man could be trusted. Royal Guard, a knight who had protected the royal family since he was 16. When he entered the chamber, the queen placed the tiny princess into his arms. His eyes widened. "Your Majesty, I don't understand." "You will. You must take her far from the kingdom." Sir Rowan stared at the baby. "You want me to kidnap the princess? I want you to save my daughter." Tears rolled down the queen's face. "You must raise her as your own. Never tell anyone who she truly is. Not even her." Sir Rowan fell to one knee. "I swore to protect the royal family. I never imagined this would mean protecting them from the kingdom itself." The queen smiled sadly. "It may be the hardest promise you'll ever keep." Before sunrise, a single horse quietly left the castle through a forgotten gate. Wrapped inside a warm blue blanket, Princess Aurora slept peacefully. She never knew she was leaving her home forever. The queen stood alone on the highest balcony, watching until the rider disappeared beyond the mountains. She whispered into the cold morning wind, "Forgive me. For one day, you will understand." When morning arrived, the palace announced heartbreaking news. The royal baby had died during the night. The kingdom mourned. Church bells echoed across every village. Black banners covered the castle. Thousands of flowers filled the streets. King Arthur locked himself inside his chambers. He refused to speak to anyone for weeks. Only Queen Eleanor knew the truth. Every full moon, she secretly climbed the highest tower. She looked toward the distant whispering forest, wondering if her daughter was safe. Years passed. The kingdom slowly healed. The people accepted that the royal family would never have an heir. But deep inside the whispering forest, hidden behind enormous waterfalls and ancient trees, a little girl with golden hair chased butterflies through a field of wildflowers. She laughed as tiny birds landed on her shoulders. A wounded fox approached her without fear. Aurora gently touched its injured leg. A soft golden glow appeared beneath her fingers. Within seconds, the wound disappeared. Sir Rowan watched from the cottage doorway, his face filled with worry, because this wasn't the first time. Flowers bloomed wherever Aurora walked. Butterflies followed her everywhere. Even wild wolves protected her instead of attacking. She was growing stronger every year, and with every passing birthday, the prophecy came closer. One evening, Aurora looked up at the stars. "Father," Sir Rowan smiled. "Yes? Have you ever wondered who my real parents were?" His smile disappeared. For a long moment, he couldn't answer. Aurora looked back toward the moon. "I always feel like someone out there is waiting for me." Sir Rowan quietly closed his eyes, because somewhere beyond the mountains, a queen was looking at the exact same moon, waiting for the day she would finally see her daughter. Aurora had grown into a kind, intelligent, and fearless young woman. She had never worn a crown. She had never stepped inside a castle. She had never even seen a royal banquet. To her, the little cottage in the whispering forest was home. Every morning she collected herbs for sick villagers who secretly visited Sir Rowan. She rescued injured birds, fed abandoned deer, and planted flowers wherever the forest had been burned by lightning. The villagers believed she possessed a gift from nature itself. No one imagined she carried the blood of queens. One afternoon, while gathering flowers near the Crystal River, Aurora noticed something strange. A young wolf lay trapped beneath a fallen tree. Its breathing was weak. Its silver fur was covered in blood. Without hesitation, Aurora rushed toward it. "It's all right. I'm here." The frightened wolf growled, but the moment Aurora gently placed her hand on its head, a warm golden light surrounded them. The broken branches lifted by themselves. The wound slowly disappeared. The wolf stood up. It stared into Aurora's eyes for several seconds. Then, instead of running away, it bowed its head. Aurora laughed softly. "I think we're friends now." Hidden behind the trees, someone had witnessed everything. A man wearing a black cloak slowly stepped back into the shadows. He whispered, "So the rumors were true. The lost princess lives." Far away, inside the royal castle, Queen Eleanor suddenly dropped the golden cup she was holding. Her heart raced. She had felt this strange feeling only once before, the night Aurora was born. The queen walked toward the palace balcony, looking beyond the distant mountains. The prophecy. It has begun. That evening, Sir Rowan returned home later than usual. His face looked troubled. Aurora immediately noticed. "Is something wrong?" He forced a smile. "No, you've never been good at lying." Sir Rowan sighed. "There are strangers in the forest." "What kind of strangers?" "They're asking questions." "What questions?" "If anyone has seen a girl with golden hair." Aurora laughed. "There must be hundreds." Sir Rowan didn't laugh. His silence frightened her. "Promise me something." "What?" "For the next few days, don't leave the cottage." Aurora frowned. "You've been saying that my whole life. There are places beyond these trees you must never visit." "Why?" "Because the world isn't as kind as you believe." Aurora looked toward the forest. "I've spent 20 years inside these woods. Don't you think I deserve to know why?" Sir Rowan opened his mouth, but no words came. How could he tell her that an entire kingdom believed she was dead, that a queen cried herself to sleep every night because of her, that one prophecy had stolen her entire childhood? Instead, he simply whispered, "One day, I'll tell you everything." Aurora woke before sunrise. She quietly packed a small leather bag, some bread, fresh water, and a wooden flute knife Sir Rowan had carved. She looked back at the sleeping cottage. "I'm only going for one day. I'll be back before sunset." For the first time in her life, Aurora crossed the ancient stone bridge that marked the edge of the whispering forest. She felt strangely excited, like every step was leading her towards something she had forgotten. Hours later, she reached the kingdom of Elaria. Her eyes widened. Massive stone walls surrounded the city. Golden towers sparkled beneath the afternoon sun. Children laughed through busy streets. Musicians played joyful songs. Markets overflowed with colorful fabrics and fresh fruit. Everything felt familiar, even though she had never been there before. She smiled. So this is what the world looks like. As she wandered through the streets, she noticed people gathering near the royal square. Curious, she followed them. An elderly storyteller stood beside an old fountain. He pointed toward the royal castle. Many years ago, our queen lost her only child. Some say the princess died. Others believe the gods took her. Aurora stopped walking. Something inside her chest suddenly tightened. Without knowing why, tears filled her eyes. The storyteller continued. Since that day, the queen has never truly smiled again. Aurora quietly whispered, "Why does that make me feel so sad?" Before she could think any longer, a loud scream echoed across the square. A frightened little girl had wandered into the middle of the road. A runaway carriage raced directly toward her. The horses had lost control. People shouted, mothers screamed. No one could reach the child in time. Aurora didn't think. She simply ran. The world around her suddenly became silent. Everything slowed. The wind stopped. The horses seemed frozen. Golden light exploded from Aurora's hands. A glowing circle formed beneath her feet. The frightened child gently floated backward, just as the carriage thundered past. The square became completely silent. Hundreds of people stared at Aurora. She looked at her own glowing hands. What just happened? The golden light slowly disappeared. Then an old nobleman pushed through the crowd. His face turned pale. He looked directly at Aurora, then at the necklace hidden beneath her dress. The necklace Queen Eleanor had placed around her neck as a baby. His voice trembled. That necklace. I know that royal crest. Aurora instinctively covered it. It's just an old family gift. The old man's eyes filled with disbelief. No, that symbol belongs only to the royal bloodline. People began whispering. Royal bloodline? Did he say royal? Who is she? Aurora slowly stepped backward. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears. She suddenly remembered Sir Rowan's warning. Don't leave the forest. She turned to run, but someone else had already seen her, standing on the highest balcony of the royal palace. Queen Eleanor stared toward the crowded square. The moment her eyes met Aurora's, time seemed to stop. The queen's hands began to tremble. Tears rolled down her face. After 20 years, she recognized her ancient castle, hidden in darkness for centuries. Two enormous crimson eyes slowly opened. Aurora stood frozen. The crowd continued whispering. She used royal magic. Look at the necklace. She must be connected to the palace. Fear spread across the square. Aurora took another step backward. I don't understand. Before anyone could stop her, she turned and ran through the crowded streets. Queen Eleanor rushed from the palace balcony. Prepare my carriage. The royal guards had never seen the queen move so quickly. She ignored every servant calling after her. For 20 years, she had dreamed of this moment. She wasn't going to lose her daughter again. Meanwhile, Aurora raced toward the city gates. Her heart pounded. Questions filled her mind. Why had that old man recognized her necklace? Why had her hands begun glowing? And why had the queen looked at her with tears in her eyes? As she reached the edge of the city, a familiar voice called out, "Aurora!" She turned. Sir Rowan rode toward her on horseback. Relief and anger filled his face at the same time. I told you never to come here. Aurora stared at him. No more secrets. You knew something all along. Tell me. Sir Rowan lowered his head. He realized the truth could no longer be hidden. You deserve the answers. He slowly removed the leather pouch hanging from his shoulder. Inside was an old parchment sealed with royal wax. The queen gave me this 20 years ago. She told me to give it to you only when the time was right. Aurora carefully broke the seal. Her hands trembled as she unfolded the letter. My dearest Aurora, if you are reading this, it means destiny has finally found you. Forgive me. Every day I wished I could hold you. Every birthday I wondered if you were happy. Every full moon I looked toward the whispering forest hoping you were safe. I never abandoned you. I hid you because I loved you more than my own life. One day, when the truth is revealed, I pray you can forgive your mother. Aurora's tears fell onto the letter. My mother. Sir Rowan nodded. Queen Eleanor. You are Princess Aurora of Elaria. The world around her suddenly felt unreal. I'm the princess? Sir Rowan smiled sadly. You always were. Before Aurora could speak again, the ground began to shake. Birds burst from the trees. The sky darkened. A deafening roar echoed across the mountains. People screamed inside the city. The ancient castle walls cracked. Far beneath the kingdom, something enormous was awakening. The earth split apart just outside the palace. Black smoke rose into the sky. Then, a gigantic dragon emerged from the darkness. Its wings stretched wider than the castle itself. Its scales shimmered like black obsidian. Its glowing crimson eyes overlooked the terrified kingdom. The arrows shattered before touching its scales. The dragon didn't even move. One roar sent hundreds of soldiers falling to the ground. Chaos spread through Elaria. Families fled. Merchants abandoned their shops. The royal army formed one final line before the palace. King Arthur drew his sword. "I will protect this kingdom." The dragon looked at him, then ignored him completely. Its enormous eyes searched the crowd until they found Aurora. Without hesitation, the dragon slowly walked toward her. Everyone gasped. "The princess! Run!" But Aurora didn't move. Something inside her heart told her she wasn't in danger. Each step the dragon took shook the earth. When it finally stood before Aurora, it lowered its enormous head. The entire kingdom fell silent. Then the dragon spoke. Its voice echoed like thunder. "I have waited 20 years. Aurora stared in disbelief. "You can speak? I have guarded this kingdom since the beginning of time. I was never your enemy. I was waiting for its true guardian." The people looked at one another in confusion. The prophecy, the dragon continued. The oracle's vision was misunderstood. "I never came to destroy Elaria. I came to test its future ruler." Queen Eleanor slowly approached her daughter. She could barely speak. "Aurora." Aurora turned. For the first time in her life, mother and daughter stood face to face. Neither of them knew what to say. Then Queen Eleanor whispered, "I'm sorry. I missed every birthday, every smile, every tear. I wanted nothing more than to watch you grow." Aurora looked into her mother's eyes. She didn't see a queen. She saw a woman who had carried 20 years of pain. Slowly, Aurora embraced her. Queen Eleanor burst into tears. "I'm so sorry." Aurora smiled through her own tears. "You never stopped loving me. I can feel it." The dragon watched quietly. Then it spoke once more. "The greatest rulers are not those raised inside castles. They are those who understand the hearts of ordinary people." Aurora stepped toward the dragon. She gently placed her hand on its enormous forehead. Golden light surrounded them both. The dragon's black scales slowly transformed into brilliant silver. Its crimson eyes became sapphire blue. The dark clouds disappeared. Sunlight broke through the sky. Flowers bloomed across the battlefield. The broken castle walls began repairing themselves with ancient magic. The frightened people looked on in amazement. The oracle suddenly appeared in a beam of moonlight. She smiled. The future was never written. The prophecy showed only two possible paths. The queen believed hiding her daughter would prevent disaster, but it was that very sacrifice that allowed Aurora to grow into a ruler filled with kindness instead of pride. The oracle looked toward Queen Eleanor. "You did not choose the easiest path. You chose the path of love." With those final words, the oracle faded into the light, never to be seen again. Days later, the entire kingdom gathered before the palace. King Arthur stepped forward. He removed the royal crown from Aurora's. The people cheered louder than ever before. Not because they had found a lost princess, but because they had found a queen who understood every farmer, every child, every healer, and every dreamer. Aurora looked across the kingdom she had only recently discovered. She smiled. "I spent 20 years believing I belonged nowhere. But today, I've realized something. A kingdom is not built by crowns. It is built by the people who choose kindness every single day." From that day forward, Queen Aurora ruled Elaria with wisdom, compassion, and courage. The silver dragon became the kingdom's eternal guardian, soaring peacefully above the castle each sunrise. Queen Eleanor finally found the happiness she had sacrificed 20 years earlier. And every year, on Aurora's birthday, the royal bells rang louder than ever before, not to celebrate a hidden secret, but to honor the queen whose heart had united an entire kingdom. Some stories are remembered because of battles, others because of magic, but this story was remembered for something far greater, a mother's love that was strong enough to change destiny forever.